Hello and welcome to the webinar Prepare for the PSAT 8-9. This webinar will cover information about the PSAT 8-9, including the structure of the test, the benefits of participating, the skills that are assessed, and how to prepare. First, we'll review what is the PSAT 8-9. Our research clearly tells us that college and career readiness is not a point in time. In fact, it is a process that requires students to focus on what matters most to be on track for college readiness. That is why we have designed a suite of 3 assessments that are tied to each other not only through common content, but through a common scale that measures student growth in readiness. Working together, our assessments provide useful benchmarks and consistent feedback for measuring student progress over time. The PSAT 8-9 serves as the foundation and baseline for understanding students' progress as they enter high school. The PSAT 8-9 provides benchmarks and norms for both 8th and 9th grades. The PSAT NMSQT and PSAT 10 provide a check-in on student progress and pinpoint areas for improving readiness. Finally, the SAT provides a powerful connection to college. The PSAT 8-9 is designed for 8th and 9th grade students. The PSAT 8-9 is a test that helps educators and students figure out what students need to work on most so that they are ready for college when they graduate from high school. Scores for the SAT suite of assessments are reported on a common vertical scale, allowing educators and students to measure progress. The PSAT 8-9 is 2 hours and 25 minutes. Additionally, there's no penalty for guessing or for blank responses, also known as rights-only scoring. There are several benefits of the PSAT 8-9. The PSAT 8-9 serves as the foundation for understanding students' progress as they enter high school. It also reflects the work that students do in school and in their classrooms. The PSAT 8-9 tests the same skills and knowledge as the SAT, PSAT NMSQT, and PSAT 10 in a way that makes sense for the student's particular grade level. That makes it easier to prepare for other exams in the SAT suite and to track progress. As students progress through the SAT suite of assessments, they will have access to free, personalized practice tools on Khan Academy as they prepare for the SAT. Additionally, if students are in 9th grade, the test results will let them know they should check out AP World History or AP European History through their AP Potential. Lastly, the PSAT 8-9 builds a college-going culture by reaching students earlier and allows students to prepare earlier on a scale that can be tracked. Next, we'll review the skills and the key features that are tested on the PSAT 8-9. The SAT suite asks students to apply a deep understanding of the few things shown by current research that matter most for college readiness and success. They'll find questions modeled on their best work of classroom teachers and perform tasks practiced in challenging coursework. The SAT suite is centered on 8 key features, 7 of which we'll discuss here. Words and context. Many questions on the assessments focus on important, widely used words and phrases found in texts in many different subjects. The focus of these questions is on determining the meaning or implications of these words and phrases in the context in which they are used. This is demanding but rewarding work centered on words and phrases that students use throughout their lives, in high school, college, the workforce, and beyond. No longer will students use flashcards to memorize obscure words, only to forget them the minute they put down their pencils. The assessments engage students in close reading and honor the best work of the classroom. Command of evidence. When students take the evidence-based reading and writing sections of the assessments and the essay section of the SAT, they'll be asked to demonstrate their ability to interpret, synthesize, and use evidence found in a wide range of sources. These sources include informational graphics such as tables, charts, and graphs, as well as multi-paragraph passages in the areas of literature and literary nonfiction, the humanities, science, history, and social studies, as well as topics about work and careers. For every passage or a pair of passages students read on the reading test, at least one question asks them to decide which part of the text best supports the answer to the previous question. In other cases, students are asked to integrate the information conveyed through words and graphics in order to find the best answer to a question. Questions on the writing and language test also focus on command of evidence. Students are asked, for example, to analyze sequences of sentences or paragraphs to make sure they are logical. In other questions, students are asked to interpret graphics and to edit a portion of the accompanying passage so that it clearly and accurately conveys the information on the graphics. Math that matters most. The assessments focus in depth on three essential areas of math: problem solving and data analysis, art of algebra, and passport to advanced math. Problem solving and data analysis is about being quantitatively literate. It includes using ratios, percentages, and proportional reasoning to solve problems in science, social science, and career contexts. The Heart of Algebra focuses on the mastery of linear equations and systems, which helps students develop key powers of abstraction. Passport to Advanced Math focuses on the student's familiarity with more complex equations and the manipulation they require. Please note that a score for Passport to Advanced Math is not reported for PSAT 8-9. Problems grounded in real-world contexts. Throughout the assessments in the suite, students will engage with questions provided in the real world and directly relate to the work performed in college and career. The evidence-based reading and writing section includes questions on literature and literary nonfiction, but also features charts, graphs, and passages like the ones students are likely to encounter in science, social science, and other majors and careers. Students are asked to do more than correct errors. They need to edit and revise to improve text from the humanities, history, social science, and career contexts. The math section features multi-step applications to solve problems in science, social science, career scenarios, and other real-life contexts. Students are presented with a scenario and then asked several questions about it. This allows students to dig into a situation and to think about it, then model it mathematically. Analysis in science and in history social studies. When students take the assessments in the SAT suite, they are asked to apply their reading, writing, language, and math knowledge and skills to answer questions in science, history, and social studies contexts. In this way, the assessments call on the same sorts of knowledge and skills that students will use in college, in their jobs, and throughout their lives to make sense of recent discoveries, political developments, global events, and health and environmental issues. Questions require them to read and comprehend texts, revise texts, to be consistent with data presented in graphics, synthesize information presented through text and graphics, and solve problems grounded in science and social science contexts. U.S. founding documents and the Great Global Conversation. The U.S. founding documents, including the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Federalist Papers, have been inspired by and have helped to inspire a conversation that continues to this day about the nature of civic life. Every time students take an assessment in the suite, they will encounter a passage from a text which reflects a great global conversation or is from a U.S. founding document. In this way, the assessments will inspire a close reading of these rich, meaningful, often profound texts from sources such as the Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, and the Federalist Papers as a way to develop valuable college and career readiness skills. No penalty for guessing. Students earn points for the questions they answer correctly, and points are not deducted for incorrect answers. This move to rights-only scoring encourages students to give the best answer they have to every question. The eighth key feature focuses on the SAT essay. However, the essay is not a component to the PSAT 8-9 test. On this slide, we are looking at the PSAT 8-9 scores and score ranges. The SAT, PSAT NMSQT, and PSAT 10 report the same scores. Additionally, the Passport to Advanced Math subscore is reported for those assessments within the suite. PSAT 8-9 score reports include the total score, a 240 to a 1440, which is the sum of two section scores, two section scores within the range of a 120 to 720, three test scores, 6 to 36 each. The reading test and writing test comprise the evidence-based reading and writing section score. The math test makes up the math section score. There are two cross-test scores, 6 to a 36, which reflects items from each of the three tests that contribute to those scores. And lastly, the subscores on a scale of 1 to 15 and are specific to each test. The PSAT 8-9 consists of two sections, evidence-based reading and writing, and math. Again, the essay is an optional component of the SAT. Each test, reading, writing and language, and math, assesses the academic skills that students develop over the years, primarily through coursework in their classes. These skills are considered essential for success in high school, college, and career. The reading test on the PSAT 8-9 is the first test students will encounter. The test is comprised of 42 passage-based questions and is 55 minutes in length. There are 4 single passages and 1 pair of passages. The reading test always includes 1 passage from a classic or contemporary work of U.S. or world literature, and 1 passage or pair of passages from either a U.S. founding document or a text in the Great Global Conversation that they inspired. There is also selection about economics, psychology, sociology, or some other social science, and 2 science passages that examine foundational concepts and developments in earth science, biology, chemistry, or physics. The next test is the writing and language test, which consists of 40 passage-based questions and is 30 minutes in length. There are 4 passages on the writing and language test. The writing and language test puts students in the active role of an editor who is improving a written passage. Most questions ask students to decide which, if any, of 3 alternatives to an underlined part of the passage most improves it. The last test students will encounter on the PSAT 8-9 consists of 2 sections, the math test with calculator and math test no calculator. The total time is 60 minutes for the math test. There are 38 questions comprised of 31 multiple choice questions and 7 grid-ins. The math test focuses on the math that matters most for college and career readiness. To succeed on the math test, students will need to demonstrate mathematical practices such as problem solving and using appropriate tools strategically. A scientific or graphic calculator is recommended for the PSAT 8-9, and students should bring a calculator that they're familiar in its usage. Here are additional tips related to using the calculator on test day. Now we'll transition to how does the PSAT 8-9 connect to the PSAT 10, PSAT NMSQT, and the SAT. The PSAT 8-9 is aligned to the same research and backbone as the other assessments within the suite and focuses on the same domain of knowledge and skills. All tests within the SAT suite of assessments are on a common score scale that provides consistent feedback, enabling teachers to adjust instruction to better support students. The score students receive on the PSAT 8-9 is the same score they would have received on the PSAT 10, PSAT and MSQT, or SAT if they had taken it on the same day. The SAT, college and career readiness benchmarks, and grade level benchmarks work together as a system, making it easier to evaluate how students are progressing year over year toward college readiness. They also present a straightforward understanding of college and career readiness by using a definition that's more familiar to students and educators. The SAT college and career readiness benchmarks are based on actual student success in entry-level courses. Specifically, the benchmark score represents a 75% likelihood of a student achieving at least a C in a first semester credit-bearing college course in a related subject. For example, in the case of the evidence-based reading and writing benchmark, this represents a 75% likelihood of getting at least a C grade in a first semester college literature, writing, or social science course. In the case of the math benchmark, this represents a first semester college level algebra, statistics, pre-calculus, or calculus course. The grade level benchmark scores are based on expected student growth towards the SAT benchmark at each grade. The new benchmarks are set at the section level, one benchmark score for the evidence-based reading and writing section, and one for math. They are set to reflect typical annual growth from year to year through the 12th grade, where the SAT benchmarks reflect a high probability of successfully earning a passing grade in courses specifically linked to the two SAT sections. Overall, college and career readiness is defined as achieving both of the section-level benchmarks on any given assessment. Next, we'll transition to how to prepare for the PSAT 8-9. Students should be aware of the rights-only scoring process. 1 point is provided for each correct answer, and 0 points are deducted for each incorrect or blank question. Students will enter answers for math grid-in items for reduced fractions and decimals. These grid-in items appear at the end of both the math with calculator and without calculator test sections. Preparation starts in school. Continuous reading improves vocabulary and develops essential skills. Taking challenging courses will help students to develop and strengthen their critical thinking skills. Lastly, the College Board provides several resources on its website for parents to see various links and information on the PSAT 8-9. For general information about the PSAT 8-9, please visit psat.org/8-9. I'd like to thank you for attending today's webinar. Have a great rest of your day.